Hello guys, this is Wits Lounge, Learning Made Easy, and in today's video we are going to be understanding a very important concept, which is the acids and base. Before we get into the study, please like, share and subscribe. So let's get into it. The very first thing that comes into the mind of most people when they think about acids is its ability to corrode the skin. That's why we are scared when people say, I'm going to pour you acid. Yes. Now, one other thing you also notice about an acid is, take for instance, if you leak a lot of vitamin C, you will notice that after leaking a large quantity of vitamin C, it causes blisters inside your mouth. Why? Because acids are associated with corrosion. Now, when I mean corrosion, I mean the ability to peel off the skin, basically. Now, we are going to be discussing acids and bases with respect to things, not necessarily its corrosiveness, you get. And what are those talking points that must be considered, or we are going to be considering? The very first thing we are going to be considering in discussing the acids and bases is the definitions of acids and bases according to the following sciences. Now, there are actually three definitions postulated by four scientists. The first one is the Arrhenius definition. The second one is Bronsted-Lowry's definition, and the third one is Lewis' definition. Before we get into the second part of the study, which has to do with the strength of acids and base measured on the basis of degree of dissociation, dissociation constants, pH or pOH, it's possible that this study will not fit into one video, so please do subscribe so you get notified as they pop up. So let's get into it. What is an acid as defined by Arrhenius? An Arrhenius acid is defined as any substance that dissolves in water to produce hydrogen ion or proton as the only positive ion. The implication is that, before we get into that, Arrhenius is actually one that postulated the ionization theory, which has aided or helped us to understand that whenever an electrolyte is dissolved in water, it actually dissociates to form ions. Now, he is now trying to say that if, let's draw a container. So what he's trying to say is that if this is water, water naturally dissociates to give H plus and OH minus, and you bring a substance, let's say you bring NaCl. If NaCl is dissolved in water, it will dissolve to give Na plus and Cl minus. Arrhenius acid is simply defined as any substance that contains only hydrogen ion after that substance has been dissolved in water. So you will notice that with this now, we cannot say that sodium chloride is an acid, because when sodium chloride was dissolved, the only positive ion is not hydrogen. But when you consider something like sulfuric acid, I already mentioned the acid though, but let's get it. If you have tetragosyl sulfate 6 dissolved in water, you will have that the dissociation will lead to the production of H plus and SO4 2 minus. We are just assuming that a complete dissociation occurred in this case. We'll get to discuss these things later. Now, notice something, that the only positive ions in this particular setup is hydrogen. Hence, what is that telling us? That sulfuric acid is actually an acid. So have this in mind. An Arrhenius acid is simply defined as any substance that produces hydrogen ions or protons as the only positive ions when it is dissolved in water. So that's that basically. Now, what did Arrhenius consider as a base? Since he said acids are things that dissolve in water to produce hydrogen ion, what did he now consider as a base? An Arrhenius base is any substance that increases the concentration of hydroxide ions in an aqueous solution. So you are noticing something Arrhenius is playing with. He's trying to say that what makes an acid is basically the hydrogen ion, and what makes a base is basically the hydroxyl ion. So if you have more H plus equals acid, OH minus is equals base. So Arrhenius basically has based his definitions on the quantity of hydrogen ions and the quantity of hydroxyl ions, basically. So take it again. An Arrhenius acid is defined as any substance that produces hydrogen ion as the only positive ion when dissolved in water, while an Arrhenius base is defined as any substance that increases the amount of hydroxyl ion in an aqueous solution. Mind you, an aqueous solution is simply any solution whose solvent is water. Having said all this, it's also important to note that hydroxides and oxides of metals are all referred to as bases. So once you have a hydroxide or an oxide of a metal, you could consider that as a. I presume we've actually learned a lot in this class. Remember, this is Wood's Lounge, learning made easy.